We're now going to the agricultural sector, an area of very rapid growth, and asking what need there is for impact investment there and whether that investment is sustainable. And the chair of this is Roberto Croci. He's the managing director for the Middle East and Africa of Microsoft Startups. Roberto, over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, Andrew. It's a pleasure moderating the session today about cultivating change, and we'll be talking about the future of agri-food tech investment in the MENA region. And first of all, we have the pleasure to have here with us today Mohamed Jouan Al Dhaheri. He is the executive chairman of RAINMKRS, but also founder of Green Factory Emirates, which is going to be the largest indoor farm in the world in the desert of Abu Dhabi. The project has been launched already. The phase 1 will be completed by the end of this year. And this farm will be able to produce 10,000 tons of fresh food to be distributed exclusively in the United Arab Emirates. If you think that as of today, the UAE, 90% of the food in the UAE is imported. So it's a very impactful project if we think about sustainability and long term, right, of food here in the country, and also food security as well. So the session today, as we said, is about cultivating change and the future of agri-tech investment in this region. If we think agri-food tech witnessed impressive growth, both in terms of innovation and investment, probably triggered by the pandemic and food security concerns, right? And almost all of the segments of agri-tech saw increase from farmer platforms, B2B agri-marketplaces, rural fintech businesses, farm-to-consumer brands, app-based agri-advisories, and so on and so forth. At the same time, we saw investors doubling down on their existing portfolio as well, the growth of the establishment of many impact funds to invest in new technologies and innovative business models to deliver impact and sustainability to our food system. According to AgFounder, startups raised approximately $26 billion in 2020, a 15.5% year-on-year increase, which we expected to increase to more than 30 billion as new 2020 deals come to light. And this would represent 34.5% growth over 2019. So the scenario looks very, very interesting. Time seems mature. A lot of things are going on. So I would start from, Mohamed, if we can start from your perspective, if you can give us an overview on the global regional trends in agri-food tech investment, maybe with an angle on how sustainable it is, especially post-COVID.
First of all, Roberto, this is always good to see you, and thank you for having me. And yes, rightfully speaking, you are on point with the numbers you just shared with us. So let me address your question in depth. But first, we need to step back a bit and explain how we all got here and how it all happened. So if you think about it, for the first time in 7 years, investments into the upstream, such as farms, surpassed the downstream, such as retail or food supplies. Now this was all thanks to the many investors that put their focus and energy, such as venture capitalists and passive investors or crowd-seeding investors, into midstream opportunities, such as technology. It was all driven by tech, which predominantly moved or maneuvered the capital towards which, at the upstream level, approximately $15 billion was invested. So now we all know that midstream tech has pretty much taken the front seat here. Let's address at the facts about the country such as the UAE. We all know it has both a large variety of climates and a large population to supply. Key stakeholders, both the public and private sector, are with a view to harnessing technology in agricultural sector. Food security and commercial viability are the main drivers in this. The pandemic has only reinforced the importance of being resilient and independent when it comes to critical needs. This became a matter of national security, which ultimately sparked the whole movement in investing into agtech and mostly into the upstream investments such as farms. The window just began, and there will always be room to innovate further in reducing the water and energy needed to grow food. Having operating farms at a scale will only speed up achieving complete food security. And that requires both sectors of the government and the private companies to jointly collaborate and accommodate financial investments to this industry. So you will only see tremendous growth from now on, year, until food security has been addressed completely.
That's awesome, and great that you mentioned, Mohamed, the investment side of things, and the fact that you established it here, and you were able to attract also foreign investment, right? So you were able to secure a partner from the Netherlands and investment also from Abu Dhabi Investment Office, which is very active in attracting foreign direct investment into the region, and especially agritech is one of the industries that they are very focused on. So can you tell more? Can you tell us more about how you went for that, and how do you think this is important to attract even more investment into the UAE?
Food security and agriculture business are sitting at the top of the UAE government agenda, being a national security matter. This specific vertical and segment of the economy is not only an established priority from our leaders, but is also fueled and enabled by the numerous subsidies, programs, and support the government has deployed in order to attract the right talent, knowledge, expertise, and capital required to guarantee its success. This, in my opinion, makes it one of the most compelling and favorable destinations and environments when it comes to agtech. The government doesn't stop at achieving food security. It aims to be the leading global hub in agtech by 2051.
This is awesome. This is awesome because it combines the fact that there is a strong vision and leadership looking at long term, right, in terms of sustainability, but also things started happening. So by the fact that you are developing this project, for example, the largest indoor farm here in the UAE, you were able already to attract attention and investment capital from foreign countries and also locally with ADIO to build this ecosystem, to build the capabilities needed to sustain this in the future. You touched base also, Mohamed, on the investor side of things, which is pretty interesting. In the region, there are also a lot of family offices. There are some trends happening, in terms of the investment industry, how this is evolving. And if we think about it, the wealth of private families is even larger than the investment industry itself, right? So any family offices and private families might be very interested to drive impact-driven initiatives. So what do you think are the key drivers to shift family businesses in the region to impact investment?
I would like to break this into two areas. One is the economic benefit that you will generate, and second, the benefits of social or environmental development. So in the economic benefit, it's availability of extensive support from the local government, funding and investments, with the focus being food security. You will only see profitable gains. However, keep in mind securing the offtake is a key in this formula. The second point is the overexposure of family offices in real estate, retail, and oil-related businesses. Now, we'll be slightly moving into towards the social development, which is point 3, and that is importance of local families' involvement to ensure cross-generational continuity. But now it's the other points now to take you through is really developing the social and environmental needs, such as raising food shortages, safeguard national security. Growing food in arid climates is the first step to sustainably address global food shortage, and even it would address growing food even on Mars. Since we need sustainable technology to develop and to have abundance at all times.
Yeah, this is great. So in fact, if you put on the hat of an impact investor, what do you think impact investors are looking for in agri-food startups, and which solutions are the most needed in your perspective?
I believe that what is most needed for the region are projects to be developed at scale. Large production facilities are needed in order to contribute to food security, but also to speed up innovation, bring talent, ensure transfer of knowledge, business continuity in order to set the UAE as a leader in this field. Impact investors will be looking at projects that are looking beyond profitability and rather geared towards contributing to the continuity of the economic sector by including components that will ensure its continuity.
Yeah, this is awesome. So looking at the future of agri-tech venture capital in the region, do you have a final thought on how do you see this future developing? Do you see it positive? Do you see it more investment and more venture capital looking at agri-tech and agri-food startups in the region?
As this field will be the focus of the UAE for years to come, as they plan to establish themselves as a global leader, as I mentioned before, the window of opportunities for venture capital is present and will remain for a long time.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it seems like there are already positive signals here in the UAE towards more investments and more development when it comes to food security, sustainability, and investing in more agri-tech, food tech startups that are trying also to have impact. It was a very interesting conversation because when you mentioned about impact investors and family offices, private family offices, how they are looking at developing new solutions that are not just looking at the revenue side of it or the financials, which is of course important, but also the impact, right? So impact-driven ventures. So it's still an early stage industry, if you want, and there are a few venture capital that are, driving real impact-driven investments. But it's something that we are seeing as a big opportunity for the region. So your insights were wonderful and inspiring. What you're doing with the indoor farm in Abu Dhabi, it's really great. That you started this, and because this will be driving more attention, more visibility to the UAE and the agenda that UAE is driving in sustainability. So just closing with a message of gratitude. Thank you so much, Mohamed, for sharing your thoughts. It was insightful, and looking forward to receiving the feedback from the audience and to have an open conversation about what the future of impact investors, venture capital, agri-tech ventures will be here in the region.
Thank you for having me.